Hello and welcome back to Just Another Football Podcast. This is a transfer window special. We're going to go through all of the teams transferred so far and just mumble our thoughts. Does that sound good, Fergal, George? Are you ready?
Certainly does.
Good. How are you guys, first of all? How's your weekends been?
Very good. It's been a scorcher here in the UK and Ireland, so global warming good for the past couple of days.
Global warming goes strong. I honestly, I don't understand how you guys survive without AC. And you have brick buildings as well, so you all the heat is trapped in.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone I've tried to tell, like, go invest in an AC has said, oh, it's just for a week or two and then we're fine again. So hopefully that's the case.
2 weeks if you're lucky, honestly. Well, maybe south of England can get very warm, but up north where I am, Northern Ireland, it's you'd be lucky to get it for a week. It wasn't like it's the hottest day of the year today, and yesterday, and like all I had to do was open the window. I found it okay. But
good.
No, that's just me.
George, was the window just enough?
Sufficient? No, I'm sweating a little bit in Newcastle, but it's probably because I'm not used to the heat up here up north. But it's not been nearly as bad as, like Fergal said, down south. So surviving as well. So
personally, I have my very old and loud AC behind me just buzzing. So I've changed my microphone settings for this one just to adjust for it. So hopefully you're not hearing in the background. And the like audio, quality is fine. Okay, we're gonna do something different here. We're gonna start from Wolves and make our way up alphabetically because Harry is joining us later, and we want him to talk about Arsenal. So we found this the best way to do it. He was just gonna join us at a random point. You'll suddenly hear his voice magically. Wow. That's what we do.
It gives us a chance to talk about, get the top transfer, top billing in first.
Top billing.
Nathan Collins to Wolves.
Yeah, sure.
Unbelievable deal. They saw the world of a goal he scored versus Ukraine. And they said we'll have some of that, and then also Adama Traore coming back. Between Adama Traore and Nathan Collins, I don't know who's the better dribbler now.
You're right.
They're going to be tearing teams apart with these two.
And you know what? They've needed this attacking threat. They've let what was it? Fabio Silva.
But he wasn't much of a threat in general. So
well, yeah, but they needed attackers. Like they still need attackers. And Nathan Collins provides that, doesn't he? So yeah, good for them. But seriously, they need to sign attackers, or I think they could be a threat for relegation because they'll need to either like sign attackers or count on Jose Sa and Nathan Collins to significantly reduce the threat against them, because Jose Sa was one of the signings of last season for a reason, because he had the most goals saved, but they were conceding like loads of chances. So they need to, I guess that addresses this part of it, not the over reliance on Jose Sa, but need attackers.
Yeah. They've let go quite a few. Like Saez is going to Besiktas. Hover went to PSV. He wasn't really featuring, but they bought him for decent money at the time. And I just thought it was bizarre what the amount they spent on him. And I think they gave him the number 2 as well, which even miffed me more at the time. And like he hasn't done anything, and he's gone on. And also in the game against Liverpool, when Liverpool scored in the last minute, it was him that was ever so slightly out of position, I'm pretty sure, or he gave the ball away or something against his old team. I remember that. But
it's one of those where the expectation doesn't match the reality. Like us, we're gonna come to it to Liverpool, but Ben Davies. Like we've never seen Ben Davies play a better game for Liverpool, but we thought he would be a good cover option, and just never was. He went to Rangers.
I think. I think with Wolves as well is that, they spent pretty heavy in the past, so it might be one of those seasons where they really need to reel back. With financial fair play in the future, it's going to be stamped down, or at least I know they've been saying it for a few years, but you know the plans are to get a lot stricter with it. So I do wonder if they're just gonna be a little bit more conservative. You know, Pedro Neto, if he can get into form, you know, majority of the season injured, like a new signing. No, but in all seriousness, he could really, you know, help them move forward. But it doesn't look like it's going to be
I
a
mean,
push for a top
front
seven finish, does it?
front three of Pedro Neto, Jimenez, and Adama Traore isn't bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
But you need like some other striker to be there.
Yeah, yeah.
West Ham, solid center back acquisition. I mean, we were talking about this before we started recording. Naif Aguirre, who was recently injured in a friendly. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to judge what center back suits who. That's the hardest part about recruitment, is because center backs really vary by the style of play at their specific clubs, and it varies club to club. He isn't very involved defensively, but he's a very good ball playing defender. I think West Ham kind of lacked that a bit.
Yeah,
And they have a solid back line, but they I would say it's a good option for kind of ball progression. Attempts a lot of passes, attempts a lot of progressive passes, relatively a good aerial threat as well. His duels won was 82nd percentile last season, or over the past year. But yeah, that's a solid one for me. Alphonse Areola from PSG. That is done as well. Linked with Armando Broja. If they can get Armando Broja,
Yeah, huge.
That'd be huge.
They were linked with Samaka as well.
And Scamacca, yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I mean, with the signs they have been confirmed, I thought both of them were new gens. Flynn Downs, no
Flynn
idea, and and the other guy, Naef. What? How do you say his name?
Aguirre, I guess.
Aguirre,
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
Probably.
I didn't have a clue who they were. I was like 30 million for him. I have no notion, but if you're paying 30 million, he must be good. Nally says he's good, so
he's really
I'll
good
go
on
along with
Football
that.
Manager. I'll say that
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. On top of that, sorry, Ali, but in terms of West Ham, I think what was key was retaining people, and so far they've done that really well. You know, a lot of the big names.
No rumors about Declan Rice really at all.
No rumors about Declan Rice. That could resurface. You know, a panic buy. I can definitely see that happening at the end of the transfer window. But they'll get a significant amount of money for him. But even just other players, they've managed to keep names out of the press. So
I don't think you could panic buy Declan Rice though. The amount of money it depends how long's left, but you're talking like £100 million deal. That doesn't get done quickly.
Yeah,
like that's so much money. That would be very meticulous. Well, unless there's maybe Man United go back to the old ways of just like splurging massive money, but to get Declan Rice out of West Ham in this summer window would need a lot longer than a quick last minute signing thing. Yarmolenko on the way out as well, which he served them well.
Yeah.
As well as Mark Noble, which he's retired, and then David Martin. Remember, he had a nice wee moment, the goalkeeper.
Yeah, that was like quite a few before COVID. That was during the COVID season. But if they could get Scamacca, that's I think a clear upgrade on Mikel Antonio, and that's saying something because Antonio is pretty freaking good.
Yeah,
like,
and then
very technical, very big and technical at the same time, and its technique is insane. So that would be entertaining. I love
the Broja deal seems to be going fairly well as well. Yeah.
All right, we'll see. Pretty big one coming up. Tottenham. A lot going on at Tottenham. I think they're breaking into the top 3.
Yeah, they've got some really great signings there, and they've addressed a lot of issues. You know, especially with Basuma. You know that is key for them. I think that's a really great signing, and you know, there's going to be a lot of competition in the front line for them. You know, with Richarlison coming in, I can see Richarlison if he doesn't get played. You know, he's very much like Son on the left wing or Kane up front. So if he doesn't get played, I can see that becoming a real issue and a bit of a dressing room crisis. But I'm sure Conte.
I think there's enough. I think there's enough
deal with that.
games in the season, like
Yeah.
for like they've got the Champions League, so yeah, I think that there'll be enough games in the season to keep him happy. And yeah, the business they've done 25 million for Basuma is and Jed Spence as well is really
Yeah.
really good. I mean, the only thing is that they've got Reguilon at left back and Emerson Royale, who are both brought in last summer, and basically just like the season's gone by there. Both spent decent money on, and now they're like looking to be sold pretty quickly. Like so,
Yeah.
Doherty might be sold as well, but I have a feeling it'd be Emerson's probably easy. Royale is probably easier to shift on than Doherty. And Doherty's actually done all right for Spurs under Conte until he got his injury.
Yeah.
So,
it's an interesting new role of him, like kind of cutting in. Like if you're playing Football Manager, it's an inverted wingback situation. He's drifting in and actually being a presence in the box or in that like half space, I suppose. From crosses coming in, and he would be present at the back post, scored a goal from it. So Jet Spence coming in is interesting in that regard. Like how is he gonna use the wing backs? Perisic, I think, is a nailed on starter.
Yeah.
He's Conte through and through. He's one of these players who's been around for ages. There's a couple of these players that like. I wasn't sure. It's going to be harsh on Perisic because didn't he score against England? Was it him that scored against, or was it Mandzukic that scored against England?
Both.
I can't remember.
Yeah,
both. Who scored the
first?
But
what I was going to say about Perisic is he's one of these names that if you weren't into European football, he's been floating about in the ether. Up there with the Julian Draxlers of constantly being linked, and little snippets of is he going to sign, and he is a real player after all, and he's for an English club, but he's a cracking signing. He's just going to work so well at left wing back, and then they've already got Reguilon, who I think Reguilon's solid, and Sessegnon. I'd be interested if Conte can turn his career around. He was really exciting when he first broke through, but they've got really good cover and depth, and they've got that Pepe Sarr coming back again. I've no idea if he's any good, but the guy that bought last season and then loaned out, he's to come into this team. Tottenham are looking scary, and Troy Parrott. Was the fittest player first day back at training. Troy Parrott hit the fitness regime in Cyprus, and he's back with a vengeance.
Good for him. Clement Longley is worth a mention too. I think he's taking Ben Davies' spot at left center back.
Most definitely.
It's interesting that he's playing in a back three system now. He's played all of his Barcelona career in a back four, but that's something to be seen by time. Southampton. That's an interesting one for you, Fergal.
Yeah.
Keep it on the Irish theme. It's been heavy so far.
This is huge. Like, what a good deal! 12 million for the next best keeper in the world is an absolute steal. And he's already pulling off unbelievable saves. This guy is going to blow up. I don't know when. I don't know when he's going to break into the first team. It could be from the very beginning. I don't know what respect Hasenhüttl is going to pay to McCarthy if he's going to give him a chance. But Bazunu will be first choice by the end of the season if touchwood no injuries occur. This guy is top tier. I've been banging on about him for ages, and we're going to see him for all his glories. He's going to be class. But yeah, they've done some other like decent business. Aribo was one of the brighter sparks for Rangers.
Joe
in their-
Aribo, I need to cut off here because these types of transfers confuse me from a professional standpoint. It's like just like Rafinha, that worked brilliantly. Rafinha from European, European competition, participating team. That's a really long way to put it. But to Leeds United, just promoted, relegation battle is expected. It confuses me why. Well, the paycheck is bigger, sure, but why would you take? I guess it's maybe like a step down and two
It's just
up,
the
like
Premier League.
Rafinha. And it is the Premier League, but Aribo going from Rangers to Southampton is a pretty. It's interesting to think about from their perspective. Bit of a risk to take professionally, but like Rangers just been in a Europa League final. And just goes to Southampton, expected to be in a relegation battle for me, anyways.
Yeah, no,
It's interesting.
totally, and like Rangers a massive club as well, but that's the pull of the Premier League. Like you saw with Brendan Rodgers, for example, he took the job at Leicester after winning everything with Celtic and could have pushed on into the Champions League with them,
Yeah.
chose not to. It's a well trodden path, unfortunately, for Scottish football.
Mhm.
But yeah, but Southampton again are going for the same thing they've done last summer and buying the rejected or not getting a chance youth players from top teams. This time they've decided to pick on Man City, Romeo Lavia.
Yeah.
Like 40 million buyback suggests that he is like he's highly rated by Man City. I've heard the name, so I can't say any more than that. But if you've heard the name of one of these random youth players, they're usually decent. Yeah, that's all I can say. But Bazuna, yeah, he's the main guy. He's gonna be class. And it's brilliant for him.
One last one.
And there's
else?
Go on.
Yeah, as one Irishman, joins the club, another leaves with Shane Long. That's got to be devastating. He has gone home. He has. It's for the better of everyone. Maybe, perhaps he has gone home, but he has left the squad.
Isn't Shane Long the holder of the quickest goal in Premier League history with Southampton against Watford? I think it was Shane Long. 7 seconds.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's definitely the holder. I can't remember if it was West Brom or Southampton.
Oh, it's definitely Watford. It's definitely Watford. It was Watford away. 7 seconds in. That was funny. One last one on Southampton, actually. Armel Belakotchap. He is a center back from Bochum. The questionable part of it is him coming from Bochum, a very this relegation type Bundesliga team, and Bundesliga defensively is not a great level for me. But he fits some sorts of things they're looking to do. 92nd percentile in interceptions, so fits the high intensity model of defending and the high press and everything. Decent aerial duels percentage as well. They've had a problem with that, so maybe he fixes a few problems. But moving on to one of my favorites. I don't know about you guys, but Nottingham Forest have had an impressive, in bold, underlined, impressive summer. I am blown away. How have they managed to pull off Taiwo Awoniyi? Fifth into that's another one. Like you just won 5th place with Berlin, gonna play European football, and bam, just promoted.
Didn't know you could win 5th place.
I mean, won a place in the Europa League, given where they were 3 years ago. That's
I didn't even. I had no clue about this guy, but yeah, no, I've heard good things. Big and physical, and he Oh, now you say that, I actually do recognize him.
There you go. There you go. He has 17 goals.
No, yeah, I knew he's done well. Yeah, I'll wait to see. I don't know anything.
Hey,
yeah, it's shame they lost their goalkeeper though. Their goalkeeper was really good, Samba.
Yeah, that is true. I think the upgrade.
But Wayne Hennessy's in there.
Wayne Hennessy's in there. I mean, it's about as reliable backup as they could have gotten. Dean Henderson is signed for them. By the way, can we just say something about FBref? There's amounts of, captchas that we have to do, and these days, every page you turn on, I'm like clicking on random images of buses. But no, Taiwan scored 15 goals last season. In like basically a goal a game in the Bundesliga. It's mental. Helped in 5th place.
And then Omar Richards, in one of the most bizarre transfer moves, goes on a free to Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
I'm sure he had a great time. That must have been a great experience for him, a great education.
Yeah. Chris Richards is going to do the same thing. Chris Richards is going to move from Bayern.
Yeah, and there's also
Nico Williams. There's another one.
Yeah.
They've managed to get Nico Williams from Liverpool. I mean, it makes sense from Nico Williams' point of view. He's wanted more game time for a long time.
He looks good.
Solidified national team player and needs to keep his form up. He's definitely starting. I wonder if they will use him in left wing at times. That's kind of his main role in Wales, if I'm not mistaken. And Musa Niakate is the last one I need to kind of highlight. This is another one that's a blinder. I'm blown away. Niakate, I thought Niakate would move in a year's time to a top 6 team. Like, that's how good he is, in my opinion.
But have they done enough to stay in the Premier League? Is going to be the question. But the problem is that you've got established teams. You look at the teams that were fighting relegation last year. You've got Everton and Leeds. Newcastle, arguably, in obviously the first half of the season. I don't honestly, no matter what, the additions that you make as a team that goes up through the playoffs, it's always going to be a struggle this year. They'll definitely be down there. I think the signings are extremely smart, simply because I don't know if obviously they've got relegation release clauses, but if they do go down, they've got a lot of asset there. They've got a lot of assets to sell on, so it's not unwise business. It's not Seri for 40, 50 million. It's fairly low.
Moved to Hull.
It's
That blew my mind. I saw that the other day. I remember because it was the same summer Iniesta left Barcelona, and this man was getting touted as Barcelona's replacement for Iniesta. He's now playing at Hull. It's an absolute joke.
What a fall from grace. Another one of those bizarre signings is Anel Ahmedhodzic to Sheffield United. Like, wonderkid center back in FM. Like, this is and I reference FM a lot, but this is a solid indicator of how good he is, how high his potential is. They get it right.
One interesting one that's on with Nottingham Forest's books at the moment is Jonathan Panzo. Won the under-17s World Cup. Yeah. It was brilliant, really highly rated at Chelsea, and he was one of the first of this a lot of young Chelsea players to move away from Chelsea before he even got a sniff of the first team. He moved to Monaco, and then his career just seems to have stagnated. I'm not sure. I haven't been keeping a close eye on it too much, but like he went to a team in Belgium, and now he's back at Nottingham Forest, but he's not even going to get a chance here. He's out on loan to Coventry then. So it's like for someone that was like really highly rated, and Chelsea were looking to keep at the time, it's mad to see his career. But yeah, you could end up being like if you give it a couple of years, you could end up being like this Awani fella that Forest have just signed. If your career goes well, so it's mental. Football's a mad game.
Awani, it's hard to pronounce. I'll forgive you.
It goes I at the end. Like what is that? How do you make that noise?
It's knee.
Knee.
Okay. On that note, we'll welcome Harry in.
He'll know how to pronounce it.
He'll know how to pronounce it. Let's see.
Taiwo Awaniyi.
Perfect. Welcome, Harry. How are you?
Thank you. Easy. What's all the fuss about?
I know. I don't
Yeah.
know. We're having struggles. Thank you. We'll rely on you for pronunciations from now on.
Cool. Should I just wait until there's anything else?
Yeah, we'll bring you in when anything goes.
Cool.
No, you
Good
get your
stuff.
time now.
Easy evening.
Easy evening. Welcome
Yeah,
back to the podcast.
how do
It's
you
been a
pronounce
while.
this? Matt Target?
Matt Target.
Mark Target?
Target.
How's Jay?
Been a while,
How's
though,
Jay?
Harry. How's your summer? How are things?
Hot, mate. Too hot. Like, genuinely, like, dying here. England is not designed for hot weather.
Get a fan, an AC, something. Do you have a
I
fan?
know. I do, mate. I do. To be honest, I've actually coped all right today. But there was some rain. I don't know about you, George. There was some rain where I live earlier, which is... I've never wished for rain. Yeah, no. I was going to say, I've never wished for rain. That's why, I was just I thought I'd give a little weather update.
I'll tell you what. Yesterday was boiling. I was working at the Philadelphia Union youth team game, and it was boiling. It rained, and it became immediately better.
Well, the thing is, like, rain in England shouldn't be a story, but given the weather we've had in the last like 2.5 weeks, it's a rare sight. Anyway, other than weather, all been good, mate. Good to be back on. Been slacking a little bit. You guys have carried the load nicely, so that's much appreciated. But yeah, good to be here.
Newcastle United. Speaking of Matt Target and pronunciations, he's coming from Aston Villa. Nick Pope though is the one that's a little bit more interesting because what happens with Dubravka? It reminds me of it's a very watered down version of it, but PSG signing Donnarumma while Keylor Navas is there. It's like two first team goalkeepers. I don't know about that.
I think it's very.
I don't know if there's any alcohol left in that drink. Is that watered down? Like,
yeah,
but,
it's incredibly watered down. It's as watered down as it gets.
Yeah. I think Dubravka's like one of the. Nick Pope was definitely an upgrade, but yeah, you would if you're Dubravka, you're probably feeling a bit hard done by for definite.
I wouldn't say so. I mean, when I watched him, the crowd were really uneasy with him. In terms of catching balls and also playing out from the back. So, look, Nick Pope's not the best distributor. Certainly haven't necessarily added to the team there, but aerially he's far superior. Dubravka. No, I'm struggling pronouncing.
Harry, come in.
Dubravka. I think
There
is
you
what you're
go.
looking for.
He couldn't catch a cold. So Nick Pope.
Fair enough.
He's going to be a massive upgrade.
Yeah, he's a lot better in coming on and claiming crosses.
Yeah.
I think I recall when we were, that's like a while back now, but when we were doing our squads for the England Euros squad, we were saying like Pope should be kind of in the conversation for starting, and coming out and claiming crosses was a massive part of that. So yeah, definitely upgrade in that regard. The other one is Sven Botman. Sven Botman, I made a YouTube video about him a while back. And he's a player that particularly interests me because he was linked for some period of time to Liverpool, and not unreasonably. This is a very solid ball-playing, progressive option that is gonna just like they're obviously going to this more modernized system of football now. And Botman is going to help that a lot.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be there though, does he? He looks like he couldn't give a rat's arse about signing for the mighty Newcastle United.
Rat's ass. Horrific.
Yeah, I don't know. Everything that came out, just all the rumors were like he's trying to. Was it AC Milan? He's trying to go to instead. Where was he trying to go to instead?
Oof, I don't know.
And then when he got there, there was a shot of him getting out of the car, and it looked like they had just been kidnapped to get him to sign.
Just like Christian Eriksen. Not Christian Eriksen. Just like Frenkie De Jong going to Man United. He just doesn't want to do it, and Barcelona trying to force him. Speaking of Man United, they're up next.
Nicely segued, Ali. Very good.
Thank you.
Forced for me.
No, you
straight into it.
No, I mean, it honestly wasn't intentional, but I'm. It's pretty bizarre the way Barcelona are just trying to force Frenkie De Jong out, but then giving an extension to Ousmane Dembele and buying Lewandowski. Obviously, huge wages, 50 million euro transfer fee. And it's like, come on, man. Like, why are you doing this? Why this is bad employer practice?
If this was a person, they'd be signed into rehab.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say it does.
Yeah.
It does sort of have those sort of tendencies associated with it, doesn't it?
They're going back to their bad habits,
Yeah.
like it's
Gambling,
I don't know how-
drinking, doing all sorts of drugs, just can't help themselves and won't be helped either.
Lisandro Martinez. The memes have gone around about how short he is at 5'10", 11?
5'9",
9.
5'9"?
Wish
I was
He's
I wish I
kind
was
of
5'11".
solid in the air, though. And the kind of the argument that's been spreading around on Twitter is how he would struggle at Man United because of the crossing that happened in the more direct style of the Premier League, and it's just not. It's just completely wrong because the Eredivisie apparently attempt 3 times the crosses that the Premier League do. The Premier League teams do, and he's dealt with it pretty well. His aerial win percentage is very solid. I don't have the numbers in front of me, to be honest, but it's
I
something
feel
in the
that
80s.
that's all well and good. I feel the necessity as we're a short podcast here to stick up for the short man a little bit.
Should we
Yeah.
champion Martinez?
Yeah. Well, listen, let's not go too far because he has signed for a rival. But what I will say is he's a good player, clearly. I think he's a versatile player, and I think he's a good signing. And I would have taken him, like we were in for him, it's well documented, and I wanted us to sign him. A lot of money, I think. I think it's a lot of money. But, do Man United need a centre-back? Yeah, probably. Is he a good centre-back? Time will tell, but I think in this transfer market, like there aren't many bargains to be had. And what you've kind of seen with Ajax is where there's been interest, they've used it to their advantage to essentially create a bidding war. Although I don't know how much we actually ended up bidding after Man United got involved, but they got a good price for him. Man United got a good. I think they get a good player. It's just whether him and what else they've done is kind of enough in isolation, basically.
Yeah, on top of that, I think it's a natural fit. Obviously, fits the system. He's played that. It's going to be fairly comfortable with that. We've heard sort of things about him matching quite well with Maguire. That's just speculation in terms of style of play and whether he'll even be next to Maguire. It looks like it will be because he's got captaincy or looks to have it. Remains to be seen. But yeah, I think it's a good signing. It's a smart signing, but you look at the ins for Man United, and it's just not enough, is it? I mean, you've got players Cavani, Mata, Pogba, Lingard, Matic, all out. Dean Henderson, Pereira. They're not great players. Let's not act as if they're losing extremely talented footballers other than Paul Pogba, arguably. But their squad depth, they need to sign. I think five players at least to flesh out this squad. It's a nightmare. They absolutely need to get Frenkie De Jong in. They whatever they do in this transfer window, for me, it has to be him. It has to be. I don't
think so. I'll tell you why. Because he clearly doesn't want it, and if he doesn't want it, you just pull out of it and try to look for another option.
I think he doesn't want it enough. I think I think it's important to know if he was absolutely not interested in going to Man United at all, I don't think they'd have pursued it. But what I would say is equally, if he was absolutely desperate to go there, would he be holding out over his deferred wages? I don't think so. If this is Man United 10 years ago. I know it's a lot of money. I get that, but I feel like they would have reached a compromise quicker on it. I think there is a degree to which he's uncertain about the project, and I think that the wages that he's owed are, essentially provide him with a good explanation for that. But I also think
17 million explanations.
17 million reasons why he doesn't want to join Man United. I think that the reason I think they need to get him, other than the fact that he's a good player and improves them, is when you spend this long on a target and don't get them. Firstly, it's well documented how long they've been pursuing him, so it'd be damn humiliating. And then secondly, how many other players would they have to sign to sort of compensate for not having done that deal, and how long the opportunity cost of it? You know, who else could they have pursued in this time? I just think there's a lot of intangibles you could attribute to it if they don't get over the line. And
Yeah.
so whether this window is a complete disaster or a decent window for a new manager, I think will probably come down to whether they get that deal done. Just in my mind.
I will reference the listeners, the people, to last episode. The episode before this was a long form Man United kind of special episode, and Reamer and Fez talked a lot about what kind of the thinking from those transfers would be, and
Yeah,
what
we
they-
talked about
what they wanna see.
Malacia and Ericsson in those. I found out Malacia was a left back, not a right back.
Yeah.
So I was thoroughly educated.
Thoroughly. They do need a right back, to be fair. But yeah, moving on to the other side of Manchester City. This is pretty simple for me. Fernandinho out, Calvin Phillips in, Jesus and Sterling out, Erling Haaland in. This does two things. Changes slightly the way they operate and attack. Like, they have a verifiable goal threat now because this is one of their arguably very few weaknesses. And also solves the very slight team chemistry problems in terms of Sterling wasn't happy with his playing time, so the options are just one fewer, so they can have some semblance of at least consistency of playing time for all of those star players that they have. Mara is renewed, so he's gonna be there for a lot of game time as well. So yeah, I mean, the one thing is now Raheem Sterling going out to Chelsea, one of maybe City's best ever players, going for 50 million transfer fee to a direct potential title rival to Chelsea. I find this poor from their part.
Oh well, there was a point that's been made this summer. I can't remember who was making it, but the fact that the top Premier League clubs need to come to terms with they're gonna have to make deals with each other to get rid of their top players for decent money, because nowhere else they can't go anywhere else. Yeah, I think it was. You're right. And so this is part of that. And Man City just seem to be one of the easiest clubs to leave. So you just seem to have to say it to them, and they're like, "Yeah, if we get a good deal, off you go." And I think all parties are pretty happy with that. Like, there wasn't was he signed for 50 million? Was it as much as that?
I think it was less, but
yeah.
But in regards to that,
50 million.
well, yeah, in regards to Sterling, obviously, the one negative with that is that I don't know if they've got a like-minded player. Whether they need that, is up to Pep. The other point I wanted to make is the contrast between City and United, red and blue, but also transfer policy. They've got rid for a fee. Jesus and Sterling, arguably, two really great squad rotation players, if not first team starters for City, but they've got money for them. While Man United, they've released all of the players that had maybe a year ago some value, with Jesse Lingard, Pogba.
Pogba, Lingard.
Yeah, it's a really
Matic.
Disgraceful situation. Absolutely. I mean, they've lost out on 10, 20 million altogether in these fees, with Pogba, pushing 30, 40 million in transfer fees. Yeah. That's significant, especially in this climate. And I remember, I forget who it was. I think it was maybe Raiola, was basically mentioning that in this new wave of football, a lot more players will be running out their contract. City don't let that really happen, which I think is a really valuable thing for them in terms of just recuperating some of the transfer fee that they're paying out.
Yeah. There's one other thing. What was I going to say? It was just Julian Alvarez. Be interested to see how he gets on. He seems like really young and exciting. So he's finished his loan, so he's officially joined them finally. But yeah. Apparently he can play a bit of everywhere, so he'll probably fit in wherever he can, whenever Haaland's getting a rest. And Haaland, I'm scared to see how good he is going to be, especially when he's got a supply chain of Grealish, Foden, Bernardo Silva,
Kevin De Bruyne.
De Bruyne.
It's scary. And the other team that have shifted to that direction of a verifiable, actual, just main goal scoring threat as a striker, like classic.
Yeah.
Liverpool, Darwin Nunez. It's been discussed a lot. There hasn't been anything new with Liverpool for a long, long time. Except for Ben Davies going to Rangers, we've doubled our money on someone who hasn't made a competitive appearance. That's very good business, but I'm disappointed. I was looking forward to this. Ben Davies was like one of my main players in my first ever football manager save. So I really wanted to see him play in real life for my team, you know? So that's a bit sad.
Well, Liverpool again, like consistently, they've made great sales. They've got like Minamino for 15 million. It's not a huge transfer fee, but I'm pretty sure they've doubled what they paid for him.
Yeah.
Mane get something for him again when he's running down his contract.
Mm-hmm.
Nico Williams, 16 million. That's so good for a player
that first team appearance, or never been a first team player, I might say.
Never been a first team player. So like again, in comparison to Man United, it's massive. And then the signs they brought in, big money for Nunez, but then they're only paying 5 million for Carvalho and Ramsey, and both of them are really highly thought of. So, Liverpool again doing a good business. I do have my reservations about Nunez though.
Yeah,
I do as well.
I get the feeling that the options of a striker were just not out there other than Haaland or Mbappe, and those just deals aren't doable for Liverpool, for whatever reasons. And I feel like Nunez, I feel like there would have been serious discussions about paying 64 million for Nunez. I think they've overpaid quite a bit for him based on what he's done before. He might prove me wrong here,
hopefully,
but it just seems ever so slightly too high. But that's what you have to do with the Portuguese clubs once they have a release clause. It was the same with João Felix, and like João Felix went for a hell of a lot more, but he's definitely not been worth it. So Nunez, I think he might come good, but I don't think he's going to hit the ground running like Haaland might.
My problem with these kind of players when they move for such high fees, it's the same as Lukaku. You think no matter how well they do, they'll only have done the bare minimum. 65 million. 65 million. You're expecting a lot out of that. You know, whether it be obviously a signing for the future, he's going to have to be scoring consistently 20 goals a season. In maybe a couple of years, for 5-6 years, it's a lot of money. Like, you don't, maybe in the modern transfer for era, it's slightly different. But that expectation, that weight on his shoulders, may be, quite a lot for a fairly young person to take on. Also, I'm sure we've all seen the compilations of pre-season and training.
I wouldn't.
It's a thing that was brought up before
he's killed a few astronauts, hasn't he? He's a bit prone for losing a few balls in the out. But
it was a thing that was brought up before he signed that his touch isn't great, and though they are individual clips and like it's pre-season and all the rest of it, it's not good for it to be, especially when you, as you say, young player, 64 million. I hope he hasn't got Twitter because that'll do his confidence no good whatsoever. And also, someone made a good point in Twitter. It was like sort of a jokey comment, but it was one of I can't remember who it was, Milner or Henderson. They're already coming out giving excuses and an explanation as to why he's might be a wee bit off. And it was like, it's only pre-season. Like you don't. Do you really even have to answer those questions? Like you just quoted it. I can't remember who it was, but it's like I don't know. I'll wait to see with this signing. I'm not convinced by it. I know a lot of people that know football rate him highly, so I'm probably wrong. But
It's a big change, and I think we're gonna have a big change in tactics as well. Fact
yeah,
Carvalho played his preseason so far as a left-sided midfielder, but look out for the option of 4-2-3-1. I think if we have a double pivot
definitely.
of Fabinho and Thiago, and then either Firmino or Carvalho in front of him with the only option up front, or like the main striker up front being Nunez, this could work out well. But maybe we have this dynamic on the right. Remember of Elliott / Henderson and Salah and Trent. Maybe we have something on the left where the Elliott is Carvalho and the Salah is Diaz, and it's a similar kind of thing. Robertson as well support. So I don't know. I'm pretty intrigued to see what we do tactically.
Liverpool don't usually miss either. As
Yeah, that's the
annoying.
one thing. Like I'm pretty easy. I wasn't convinced about the idea of the signing in the first place because it's just a really big shift. But I'm just positive. I think we downgraded in personnel, like Mane leaving and Carvalho and Nunez
Nunes.
coming in is a downgrade. Is a downgrade. There's no getting away from it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Leicester City. Moving on to Leeds United.
Yeah. Yeah.
Leeds United have had my favorite transfer window out of all the Premier League clubs. Obviously, because they are basically the American national team now by this point. But the signings are very impressive. Very impressive. Brendan Aronson and Luis Sinisterra and Rasmus Christensen and Mark Roca and Tyler Adams. Watch out. These are going to bang. All of them. And they're all probably all gonna get the start of the lineup immediately. These are good. These are good. If you have like a front five, like double pivot 3-1 of Mark Roca, Tyler Adams, Daniel James for now, Brendan Aronson as the 10, and Luis Sinisterra on the left, and then Patrick Bamford up front. This is very strong. They should be mid-table at least now in like this 12th to 10th position. They shouldn't be a relegation threatened team now. I think.
I don't know. Look, they're signing a lot of players that fit into their system on paper. You know, RB teams will do that high press for the manager. RB Leeds maybe in the future, but look, they struggled last season because they ultimately didn't have the squad depth. They've added a fair number of rotation players or first team starters to the team. I truthfully don't know a lot about the players they brought in. I'd be lying if I did. Other than Tyler Adams. So we'll have to wait and see. I've always been negative towards Leeds.
I will
wonder
say,
why.
Yeah, naturally.
Yeah, naturally. I would say Luis Sinisterra is like a very flary left winger, like ball carrying, aggressive dribbler, runner behind, goal threat. Mark Roca was very highly thought of at Bayern Munich. Just never made the first team because there's just so many hurdles to get through in terms of personnel. Brendan Aronson, Philly Union boy, took a selfie with him, didn't I? A few weeks ago. Yeah, I'm a big fan. He's mainly the number 10, but he can also play left wing. But yeah.
Gabi's meant to be very good as well. The fellow they signed from Man City. Man City seem to be getting rid of a lot of youth and cashing in on them. There's a couple of people expecting that by the end of the season he'll have made his first team appearance. Highly rated youngster.
Would be lying if I said I know anything about them. They do need to strengthen in defense, particularly center back and left back. They're playing with Jack Harrison at left back now. I'm not sure about that at all. But
I can see it.
I can see it, but it's not the best option. If they can go and sign, and this is a very biased thing, but if it's perfect, Kai Wagner from Philadelphia Union, go and get him. He will cost less than £10 million. He has already 10 assists in the MLS season, and we're just over halfway through the season. like aggressive presser, aggressive dribbler, set piece specialist. Very complete, like as a complete left back as I've seen outside of Europe. So go and get Kai Wagner. They won't regret it, and I think they should go and get, just like Nottingham Forest managed to buy Musa Niakate. I think Edmund Tapsoba could be a good option for Leeds.
Oh, we were getting linked with them. Don't know
Yeah,
why.
I know. I think Leeds should just go and do it. Cash in. They have a lot of money. Okay,
They do.
they do.
I was going to
Fulham-
say that's the two. Before we move on, Ali, sorry,
Go on.
we must mention that they've lost probably their two most influential players
That
in
is true.
Calvin
That is true.
Phillips, and obviously he had a lot of injury problems, but Rafinha especially.
Yeah.
We don't have to go into depth, but they'll be difficult to replace.
I mean, I think they've replaced him well personally.
Especially with players that haven't played in England before.
Yeah,
That is true.
And they're not even buying from top 5 leagues for like some of the main players. Like it's Austria and Netherlands. Like RB Salzburg, yeah, like the proofs there of all the good players that have come through the Champions League, done really well in the Champions League. But I don't know. I still think some of them, not all of them, will hit the ground running, and I think they kind of need a good, most of them to hit the ground running. So, it's risky enough, but all the hipsters on Twitter seem to like the signs.
I
Yeah.
love the signings. I don't know if I'm a hipster, but I love the signings so much.
Definitely, analyst hipster type.
Analyst
Hipster's
type.
not really a word that's used anymore. So.
No, you can. Why? Why not?
I just think it's maybe it's hipster to say hipster now. I don't know.
Hipster to say
Yeah.
hipster. That's a quote now. All right, these next two teams we should kind of go through very quickly. I haven't done much. Fulham, concerned. Apart from Joe Polinia, this is someone else who's like, you expected to go to a much better side, but then he goes to Fulham, and you wonder if he's really that good. Because I don't know, Fulham are going to survive the Premier League again.
Hope.
Moving on.
It's good away day.
Look,
And al-
Good away day.
look at it. I mean, they've just not done enough. Andres Pereira,
Rubbish.
he's just not
rubbish.
good. He's just not good
rubbish.
enough. They've lost Fabio Cavallo. I'm just not convinced by who they brought in. There's a lot of time left. We haven't caveated that, but there is a lot of time left. They've got a lot of outs. They've not got a lot of ins. It looks like they're just going to be smarter this year and just go down like Norwich, whimpering.
Yeah, that's smart.
Boring.
Boring.
All right.
Yeah, I find it interesting the players they released. Like it's kind of like there's some weird names in there, like Timmy Abraham, Tammy's brother. Maybe we'll do a tabs on Timmy at some stage.
Tabs on Timmy.
Jean-Michel Seri, as we mentioned before, gone to Hull now. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Michael Hector, formerly of Chelsea. Alfie Mawson, who I'm surprised he's released because I also wonder where he's going to end up as well, because I remember he was he seemed to have his moment doing well with Swansea. I think he first came through as, and then Cyrus Christie, I'm not surprised he's released, but he's always been. I've always found him really frustrating for Ireland, but it's just a quirky wee list there.
Yeah, they haven't done much apart from Joao Polinia is gonna remain their headline signing, I think, but he does very little else apart from win the ball back. He just wins it back, passes it to the next person, but he's very good at it. Let's say that he's a first team Portugal regular. So I don't know, the team that haven't done much at all. Everton, good God, I think Everton are fishing that last, but we'll leave that.
They look terrible as well. We played them. Granted, you can't take loads from preseason games, but good God, we played them on Sunday. They were terrible. And then Lampard said how pleased he was with the performance, which was an immediate red flag. Yeah.
Odds on being the first manager to get sacked, Lampard.
Yeah, I mean he's in the conversation, isn't he? Like they look awful. They look really, really bad. Like he just doesn't look like he has a clue what to be doing with them.
But there also seems to be a lot of talk of like I haven't seen much transfer talk of, but seen more talk about like good
No.
youngsters being brought through this season from their academy, which will remain to be seen. And like Anthony Gordon's getting linked away, but I'd say they'll hold on to him.
Well, I think now that they've let Richard, that they've made a sale. Like I think that the big thing, obviously, sort of going into this summer was they would need to sell players in order to
Yeah.
bring anyone in, just because of the nature of their finances over the last few years.
Yeah.
They've done that in Richarlison, and they've got. Let's be fair, they got a good price for Richarlison there in 60 million. Like that's a pretty good offer for a player who, whilst is probably one of their better players, I don't think he was exactly prolific.
No,
And if they reinvest
I
that
thought
smartly,
it's definitely good money. And
Yeah, I think-
Tarkowski on a free is pretty smart as well.
yeah, it's okay. But like, I've seen worse shouts than Ali's shout at them to finish dead last. I mean, they don't look great. Like they're going to be down there again. I don't think there's any doubt about it. They're going to be in the conversation for relegation now.
Especially if they don't sign anybody else, and it doesn't look like it, to be fair.
Yeah.
Um.
There's just nothing good there really.
No. All right.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace is another team that haven't done much yet. The two solid signings, Sam Johnston and Cheikh Doucouré. I want to start with Doucouré because he's an interesting story. He was a part of Lens, who went up from League 2 in 2018 to finish 7th in Ligue 1 last year, and they've been pretty solid, like upper mid-table team for a couple years now. So yeah, that he's very like solid, bona fide.
I think Sam Johnson on a free is brilliant business as well.
Sam Johnson on a free is brilliant as well. So yeah, these are two signings that they have made. I don't think they need that much signings. I think they actually, based on the number of signings they did last year, it would be good for them to limit the signings this year, and from a financial standpoint, first of all, but also from a chemistry perspective.
I think they'll just want
to with the same spine, pretty much. I think Cheikh
They wanna-
Doucouré is going to start though. Cheikh Doucouré is amazing. 93rd percentile progressive carries and passes, and 84th in receptions. So just kind of an absolute shuttle.
They
Good for them.
They also signed the youngster from Derby, Bowie, or Boyo.
Harry, what do you say to that?
Want to have a go at that one, Harry? If you can see it?
It's not in front of it. You know what? I think you did a pretty good job with that, mate. I'm not gonna lie.
But, I said it spot on. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Good.
We'll call him Malcolm. Malcolm, he's highly rated, and I saw a wee clip of him earlier. I think in a match earlier, he done pretty well. So sign him again. Signing from the championship, good young upcoming players. Sam Johnson included in that. That'll fit in with their whole ethos and everything on there. I think they're on for another good season.
Yeah, I feel like they should now just retain Wilfried Zaha for another 10, 15 years. The transfer saga of him leaving, it's been every transfer window, pretty much bar this transfer window, where there's really not been too many rumours.
Yeah.
So I just feel like he just needs to stay. Crystal Palace is clearly his home. So I hope that's the end of his transfer malarkey.
Chelsea, George and Fergal.
Yeah. Yeah, look, it's a good window so far, in my opinion. Obviously, losing Rom is hit in terms of having no strikers to replace him, other than seemingly someone that we're letting go in Brazier. But I'm really impressed. Maybe 1-2 more signings can be funded by a couple of players going out as well, whether they're young players or not. We'll see. But I mean, we can't really have any complaints. We've not. In my opinion, we've not worsened too much. Obviously, Koulibaly's been playing at the top level for a very long time. Allows us to play in the back four if we need to. With Rudiger leaving, it's not ideal. Not making money out of those players. But the wages, Rudiger was demanding. It's probably a good thing that he's left. We don't want to try and break that wage structure, if there is one at Chelsea. But yeah, I mean, Sterling's a fantastic player. Whether he's what we needed is a different question. But I'm pretty happy with Chelsea's squad going into the year.
I will disagree with something. I feel like it's if you stick with those, it's a very incomplete window because I think you still need at least
I'd
one
be
more center back.
disappointed as well. Yeah.
Yeah, you need at least one more center back, and you need a left back. in my
Do
opinion.
we like?
I'll tell you why. Because Koulibaly is going to play on the left side of center back. I think Koulibaly struggles with agility, and we've seen it time and time again with Napoli. He struggles with pacey wingers, take in one-on-one take-ons, and he like Salah is his worst nightmare. And Liverpool played Napoli so many times over the past like 3 to 4 years, and every game there's at least one incident of absolutely getting skinned by Salah because of the acceleration that he uses. Salah just accelerates past him, and Koulibaly doesn't have the agility, the athleticism to turn. He has the physical strength, sure, and that's kind of what he tried with Salah, just getting him off the ball in every instance, but he ends up just falling down on the floor or just like trying to pull the t-shirt desperately. He will struggle with those pacey type of wingers. I think he will be targeted a lot if teams see this enough, and he will need support from the left back.
Look, it would be a shame if we lose 6 points this next season with Salah. Obviously, playing well against them, but I'll be happy if that's the only points we do drop. No, I think Chilwell's good enough. And look, Emerson, I don't know. There's a lot of rumours with who will be the backup left back. We've got some solidly defensive wing backs. I'm pretty happy. I would like one more signing. I think it is, like you said, slightly incomplete, but it's not a disaster class.
Fergal?
It's not. I'm not convinced. I still think we might stagnate. I think it depends how Kai Havertz does, but I'm more worried about the youngsters we're gonna lose. Like if we lose Levi Colwill, Broja, I think he needs to have another loan. I think he done really well, but it's a shame if he's not happy to be a second choice striker, because I think there is the room in there for him to come in. Providing that we sell on some of the players. So Ziyech looks like he's going, but then we still have Callum Hudson-Odoi, Pulisic, and Werner. And George, the tier list we done at the start of the window, I think it's pretty spot on from what the rumors have been.
Yeah.
I don't think we could have got it much better, really. Other than Levi Colwill is actually not anywhere near the team really, and looks like he's gonna be.
Yeah.
It looks like there'll be a transfer out, which I think would just be disaster. And then you bring in Koulibaly. He's got a 5-year contract, which I'm hoping there's options in there and it's not set in stone 5 years, because he's 31 now, isn't he? Like not everyone's a Thiago Silva. That just seems like it could be a disaster with that.
Yeah.
Koulibaly again is another one that wasn't sure if he's a real footballer for a while. All the links he was getting, he's finally landed. He is it's just joke, Ali, because we were constantly linked with this guy.
But it's like Milinkovic Savic. I'm convinced he doesn't exist.
Yeah, Milinkovic Savic, Julian Draxler. Did these guys actually exist?
I get you now. I get what you mean.
They Koulibaly. I think it's a good signing. Tifo thought it was a good signing.
It must be good then.
Lots of people are saying it's good. The weird thing I've noticed is Chelsea are targeting are poaching loads of young players from academies. I've seen about 4 or 5 different players we've poached from academies, including Omari Hutchinson, who is apparently the next big thing from Arsenal. But I'll wait to see it. I don't know why they're signing for Chelsea, other than maybe they're well, even if you don't make it at Chelsea, as long as you don't take the contract, it's still the best place to go.
Yeah.
To go, and then Billy Gilmore's being linked to a permanent move away. Harvey Vale's got a year left of his contract. And there's someone else that might be on the move as well to Everton. And I can't think of who they are now. But we signed a left back from Derby, Williams, in January. So my point is we're still getting all of these youth players, but there's just still no pathway. And like with losing like a player like Rudiger, there should be a clear pathway for Colwell to come in and stake his claim. We should be looking to sell on like the likes of Man and Sar and cut ties with some people.
Always him. It's always him, isn't it?
Yeah,
Picking
it
off.
is. But what
Like,
I
there
would
really
say,
is no reason. I
No,
just
but-
don't think there's enough players being sold here. And I think
I-
we're going to stagnate. I think there's going to be a
yeah.
mismatch to a certain extent.
Brighton, not much to say about Brighton. Signed 3 youngsters. One of them to like keep an eye out on is Simon Adingra. Simon Adingra from Nordsjælland, 14 goal contributions, 10 goals, 4 assists for Nordsjælland last season. He's come in with big potential, but that's about it. He's right-footed, can do either wing. Yeah, that's probably their highlight. Not much else. Yeah, that's all. Let's just move on to Brentford. Not much either there. Aaron Hickey is the main one.
you just know with Brentford that some of these are going to be fantastic signings that they've picked up for extremely good prices and
Yeah.
really low wages. So whether they get relegated or not, it doesn't particularly matter in terms of their structure. They'll be okay. But honestly, I don't know a lot about their signings, and that's probably a good thing for Brentford.
The goalkeeper, that's the same. Is that the
Yeah,
same one that
that's
was
the one
getting
I was
linked
gonna-
to? The goalkeeper's getting linked to Chelsea, and he's getting touted around all the top teams in Europe. I don't know if that
He's
was
very
his
good.
agent just doing his best, but his agent's come up short by the looks of it. But
on a free though, it's
if you're aiming for Champions League and you end up with Brentford, you might be a wee bit annoyed. But look, Brentford are well run, so but a good sign for Brentford if he's as good as what his agent would tell you.
No, he's very good. The problem is or not the problem. The interesting thing, I guess, is how different he is to David Raya statistically. I guess maybe that's just being at Lazio, but the differences are significant in terms of the sweeping actions, the opposite ends in terms of one stays at home, Chakosha, one operates outside the area a lot, sweeps and stuff. Passing, one pass is short, one pass is long. Chakosha is more like old school, a lot more old school. But yeah, we'll see. It's an interesting thing, and I wonder if Chakosha starts and David Raya becomes actually number 2. But given the styles of both, I think David Raya still starts, at least for this first season. And maybe
I was going to
gets
say,
second season.
if David Raya gets dropped, it'd probably be one of the best 1-2s in definitely outside the top 6.
Yeah.
Raya's pretty good.
Regardless,
so
it
if
would be
if
one of
they're
the
able
best
to,
1-2s.
yeah.
Aston Villa, we're going to the home stretch now. Aston Villa, very exciting window. Very exciting window.
What about
Coutinho on a
Bournemouth?
permanent. No,
Bournemouth at the top,
AFC
mate.
Bournemouth. Bournemouth are at the top because of
Yeah.
the AFC thing.
All right.
Yeah, Aston Villa are next.
Which is totally wrong, by the
Freya.
way. They shouldn't be at the top.
No,
Yeah,
no.
they should be. They should be. With Valerby, I agree. It shows up on the table like before the season starts as Brentford, then Arsenal. Like, yeah, it bugs the OCD.
Ridiculous.
But no, Aston Villa have done good stuff. Very good stuff. Again, speaking of 1-2s in terms of goalkeepers, Robin Olsen signed from Roma, and they have obviously Martinez. Why did I forget his first name?
Emi Martinez.
Emiliano. But that's one of the as good a 1-2 goalkeeping hierarchies you ever see, as you will see this season across the Premier League. Coutinho on a permanent. Ridiculous that Coutinho's been signed for Aston Villa. That's not something you would have imagined 2 years ago. Diego Carlos and Boubacar Kamara, 2 very good additions as well. I think it stops there. There hasn't been any talk of anything else, but it's good to get the signings in early and build the chemistry across preseason, I suppose.
Yeah.
Lucas Augustinson is their newest signing from Sevilla on a loan, but that's basically what's happened.
They do seem to spend a lot of money, Aston Villa, in terms
do.
of
They're
sort of,
rich.
we mentioned poorly run clubs. If they weren't promoted, they'd be in real trouble. And they didn't perform too well last season, if we're honest, for the amount they're spending. So you'd really hope that these players can elevate them. But Philippe Coutinho was there last season. I'm not as convinced as yourself, Ali, and it looks like Harry agrees.
Well, I just don't like them. You said you hope they elevate them. I don't. Like their fans are always gobbing off about how good they are. So
Yeah.
I do like the personnel they signed. It obviously will depend on how well Steven Gerrard does with it. But no, Diego Carlos is a really good defender, like really good ball player. Boubacar Kamara is like really good anchor, very solid defensively, very good patrol. I think they missed that piece of midfield. Their midfield is complete now. They didn't have a solidified anchor. Douglas Luiz was probably the closest thing to that, and he isn't that style. So Boubacar Kamara is probably the most important signing out of them. The new ones, really. Well, given Coutinho signed, Coutinho's a very big one. We'll finish on Arsenal, given Bournemouth haven't done anything. Ryan Fredericks and Joe Rothwell, nothing so far, really.
Yeah.
Take us away, Harry. Arsenal. What do you think so far? You've watched Gabriel Jesus for a couple of games now.
Mhm.
Fabio Vieira, has he played at all?
No, not yet. He's carrying an injury at the moment. So he's fitting right in, basically. Into the
I was
culture
gonna
of,
say.
yeah. Well, it's funny. They announced the injuries the other day, and it was him, Tomiyasu, Tierney, Smith Rowe. Basically, everyone you'd predict is injured. Look. I think you can't over-index preseason games. You can't get that excited. However, Gabriel Jesus will be the next R9 for us. I have absolutely no doubts. Just like he's great. He's exactly what we needed. I think when you're not in the Champions League, I don't think we could have expected to sign a better striker in the current market.
Absolutely.
I think it'd be very difficult for us without, paying ridiculously over the odds. I think it was a good price, we got him for. And then, Vieira, like a little bit more unknown, came from sort of left of field, but I think what you'll see next season with the introduction of 5 subs is you need more depth and you need more variety to, the different ways in which you're going to play and kind of the, in-game stuff that you're able to do. And I think he, fits into what we're looking to do pretty nicely. I would add in the fact that it pretty much looks like Zinchenko's done as well. Obviously, that's not confirmed, but that's all but done. So if you're asking me to assess our business kind of up to date, I would probably include that in it and say it's good. I mean, we're doing the things I think we need to do. There still needs to be more, and I think there will be more. But I think what I like, and it started last summer, the groundwork for that was laid in terms of I can see what the strategy is. I can see where we need to improve. And I can see the sort of players we're going for in certain areas of the pitch to do that. So I'm encouraged. I'm cautiously optimistic about the impact that the players we brought in will make. But yeah, like overall, pretty positive about what we've done. And I think there'll be more to come. So it's sort of it's a bit abnormal to be on here talking about us getting business done early and kind of not ranting and raving about it, because usually we're pissing about till the end of the window, and it's what cost us at the start of last season. And what goes unsaid, I think, is that there's 5 games before the end of the window, which means there's going to be a premium on getting your business done and getting off to a good start this season. That's 5 of 38 games. It's not an insignificant amount.
That's a true thing.
And if you're scrambling around and kind of not ready for the start, then that could cost you. So I think what part of what plays into my satisfaction with what you've done so far is that we look like we're in a position to start the season, pretty strongly, given the fixtures we've got, given who we've been able to bring in. So yeah, pretty pleased with it.
I'm really impressed with Arsenal's transfer dealings. Is there anyone going out significant?
Not really. I mean, like, I think what we're doing is getting our business done and then going to sort of players, right? Okay, there's not a spot for you anymore. Which it can backfire, because obviously, if you don't find a buyer, then you're not able to maybe recuperate the money you were looking for.
If
the
the
kind of
buyers
incre-
are also smarter, they can ask for less because then
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, like
There are risks associated with it, but I think what sort of has annoyed me over the years is kind of when you get the party line from the club, which is, you know, X needs to leave before you can facilitate a deal for
Yeah.
Y, and it's
Absolutely.
like, well, what, you know,
Why?
they don't, because they're not in our plans. Like, you know, we want to go for a winger, for example. Why should it be contingent on Pepe leaving when we know Pepe's not going to be playing? It's
Yeah.
sort of stuff like that. You
Yeah.
know, maybe there's a financial part of it that you maybe need to recuperate a certain amount of money and get wages off the books, but really it shouldn't come into your thinking when you're trying to build a squad and get to, you know, a serious level, which we're looking to do. So no, like not to date. There's not been anyone really that significant that's gone. Obviously, Lacazette's contract expired. Guendouzi's gone to Marseille. Amari Hutchinson obviously went to Chelsea. But nothing that significant, and I don't think there will be, to be honest. Like, I think obviously the big one was whether Saliba was going to come back, and it kind of looks like he is going to be part of at least the immediate future. So I don't think there's anyone that will leave that I'd be particularly like sorry to see the back of. Let's put it that way. So yeah,
it feels like it's finally at the end of clearing out the deadwood.
Yeah.
Of what
We're
came before.
reaching that point. Yeah, I think so. I think the squad's been turned over. I mean, you look at sort of when Arteta came in and where we're at now. I mean, you've sort of
turned over from that point.
yeah.
How many?
How many?
Rob Holding.
And then he's just been given a new deal, mate. He's not going anywhere. Rob Holding will be one that, you know, be interesting to see if there's an offer for him. But it's weird. It's just kind of unspectacular, really, what we've done. You know, it's smart, I think, is the word for it. Like, you know, the profiles of play. I mean, like, obviously, the first thing people probably say is that you're just buying Man City's backup players. But, you know, there's no shame in being a squad player for arguably the best squad we've seen in Premier League history as a squad.
Yeah.
If you're a part of that, then you must have something about you. And
Grealish was a squad player last season.
yeah, well, there you go, 100 million squad player. And I actually think, like, you know, the example I saw used on Twitter, and it's probably not the best one, but it's kind of, it was Liverpool buying Premier League players with a point to prove. And albeit it's slightly different here because you're buying from Man City, but if you look at Jesus, you look at Zinchenko, they've been kind of on, more so Zinchenko than Jesus, kind of been on the fringes of it, but not quite integral to, you know, the league titles they've won in the last few years.
Yeah.
And I think when you bring these guys in and make them, you know, an integral part of what you're doing, you know, there'll be a fire in their belly to come in and sort of maybe prove a few people wrong in terms of they are top class players. And if you put them in an environment where, you know, they can lead some younger players, I think there's definitely a value in it. So I'm positive. Look, I mean, Spurs have done good business. Chelsea, you know, we spoke about, but Chelsea are better than us at this point in time. So, you know, we can get better this season and still not get where we need to be. I'm fully aware of that. But I suppose it's about giving yourself the best possible opportunity. And I think, given what we've done so far, and as I said, because I anticipate there will be more to come, I think we'll do that.
What
Top
positions do
four
you
race
think?
is going to be.
Oh, he's
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting.
What positions did you say, Ali?
Yeah, what positions do you?
I think it'll be another midfielder, and now obviously that depends on Zinchenko, I suppose, kind of what they have planned for him, because obviously, you know, you've seen he can operate in midfield.
Yeah.
But I definitely think there'll be another forward. I think you don't go for. I know the Rafinha one was a sort of unique in the sense that the opportunity arose because they thought Barcelona wouldn't be able to afford it. And so maybe that was one of those where you move on something because it's kind of unexpected. But I still think that they'll look to bring another forward in because I mentioned I think Pepe will go, and even if he doesn't go, I just don't think he's part of the plans.
No.
And then you're a little bit light in those forward areas. So I think definitely another forward, and I'd think another midfielder. The Tielemans one is interesting because sort of it seemed like we were, you know, he was asked, you know, for the taking at the start of the window, and we've kind of just sat on that one for a bit, moved on to some other deals, and I mean, I think you've seen with Leicester, we didn't talk about it, but they haven't signed anyone because they need to sell players and get players off the books. And I think we probably are aware of that. And because there are no, you know, other forthcoming bidders, I think we'll wait and then maybe we'll move back on that one. So yeah, I think a midfielder and another forward, I think will be what we'll look to do.
Fabulous. And that's all she wrote. I think we'll finish on that because Bournemouth haven't done anything really and are going down. alongside Everton
Yep.
and one more. But we'll get
Well,
we'll get to the table later on, before the start of the season, perhaps. But well, perhaps we have to, right? But
Of course. Of course, I
Yeah.
want to retain my crown.
you want to take your crown, and
Yeah.
the
I'll take one
I just
up, I'll be
remembered
alright.
FPL is coming up soon. I have like what?
Yeah, we don't need to
less than
talk
3
about
weeks
that.
before the start of the season. Yeah, we don't. Okay, so thank you for listening. We will be back next week with another episode. We are on Twitter, JF_pod. We're on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. So whatever platform you're watching on, if you've reached that point, I'm guessing you've liked it. So if you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, share it around. If you're on Spotify, hit the follow. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, it would be very appreciated if you could give us a review. That is not something we promote very much and would serve us a world of good. But we will be back next week with another episode. Probably Harry's going to be the one hosting that time.
Hey, you've
But
done a good job, mate. You've done a good job. Don't worry.
I appreciate it, Harry. Welcome back to the podcast. All right. We will see you guys soon. Cheers.